It was the weekend before Christmas, and the snow-covered streets of Oak Hollow were bustling with families picking out the perfect Christmas trees. For the Johnsons, it was a long-standing tradition to find their tree in the dense pine forest just outside town. The forest was quiet as they trudged through the snow, their breath visible in the frosty air. 12-year-old Ben wandered ahead, eager to find the most impressive tree to impress his parents. That's when he saw it, a towering pine standing alone in a clearing. "Mom, Dad, over here," Ben shouted, his voice echoing through the silent woods. The tree was magnificent. Its branches were thick and symmetrical, its needles a deep, healthy green. It looked like it had been plucked straight out of a Christmas card. His parents agreed it was perfect, and within an hour they had it cut down, strapped to the roof of their car, and brought it home. That night, as the Johnsons decorated the tree, Ben couldn't shake the feeling that there was something odd about it. The room seemed colder now, even though the fireplace roared nearby. And when he stood close to the tree, he thought he heard faint whispers too soft to make out the words. "Stop daydreaming, Ben," his mother teased, handing him a box of ornaments. By the time they finished, the tree was breathtaking. Strings of golden lights wrapped around its branches, and delicate glass ornaments shimmered like stars. A golden angel perched at the top, smiling serenely. But as Ben lay in bed that night, he was jolted awake by a sound, a soft rustling like someone brushing past a pile of leaves. He sat up, straining to hear. The sound was coming from downstairs. Ben crept out of bed and tiptoed down the hallway, careful not to wake his parents. Peering around the corner into the living room, he froze. The tree was moving. Its branches trembled ever so slightly, as if an invisible breeze was passing through them. The golden lights flickered, casting strange, dancing shadows on the walls. Ben's breath caught when he saw one of the shadows shift, a long thin arm stretching out from the tree. He blinked and the shadow was gone. The tree stood still, its ornaments glinting innocently. Ben hurried back to bed, pulling the covers over his head. He told himself he had imagined it, that it was just the wind or a trick of the lights. But the next morning the oddities continued. Several ornaments had fallen from the tree and shattered, even though no one had touched them. The room still felt unnaturally cold. And when Ben's mom went to water the tree, she frowned. "The base is dry," she said. "It's like the tree soaked up everything overnight." That night, the whispers returned, louder this time. Ben couldn't ignore them. They were coming from the tree, a soft, urgent murmuring in a language he didn't understand. He lay frozen in bed, too terrified to move. Then came the tapping. A slow, deliberate tap-tap-tap against his bedroom window. Ben turned his head slowly, his heart pounding. The window was frosted over, but he could make out the outline of a branch, except it wasn't outside. The branch was inside the room, its needle-covered fingers scraping against the glass. Ben screamed and the branch snapped back, retreating into the darkness. His parents burst into the room moments later, finding him pale and shaking. He tried to explain what he'd seen, but they dismissed it as a bad dream. Determined to prove he wasn't imagining things, Ben stayed awake the next night, hiding in the hallway with a flashlight. Around midnight, the whispers began again. He crept closer to the living room, his flashlight shaking in his hand. What he saw made his blood run cold. The tree's branches were moving, stretching outward like arms. The golden angel on top turned its head, its once serene face now twisted into a sinister grin. One of the branches reached toward the fireplace, pulling out a log, which it began carving with its sharp needles. The wood fell away in splinters, revealing grotesque faces etched into its surface. Ben stumbled backward, dropping the flashlight. The noise caught the tree's attention. Its branches froze and the angel's glowing eyes locked onto him. "Leave," a low, guttural voice growled from the shadows of the room. Ben didn't need to be told twice. He bolted upstairs, dragging his parents out of bed and demanding they come with him. When they reached the living room, the tree was still again, as though nothing had happened. But his parents had seen enough. The ornaments were shattered, the floor was littered with pine needles, and the angel's face was now blank, its features worn away. The next morning, the Johnsons chopped the tree into pieces and burned it in the backyard. As the flames consumed the branches, Ben swore he heard faint screams, followed by a final, chilling whisper. "You'll never be rid of me." From that day on, the Johnsons never brought another real tree into their home. But every Christmas, no matter how artificial their tree, Ben swore he could still hear faint whispers coming from its branches.